Hey guys, this is Jeff, and I wanted to share with you a little bit today about why I do what I do. And we're going to be talking about kind of one of the reasons why I chose children's ministry. But I really wrote this online devotional with everyone in mind. So if you're not in children's ministry, if you don't have kids of your own, no problems. All you need to have is a child somewhere in your sphere of influence. And maybe it's your own kids at home, but maybe it's nieces or nephews, grandkids, neighbors, kids of a good friend of yours. I think that really covers all of us, right? Well, one of the stories in my past that really solidified children's ministry for me happened about 12 and a half years ago. The year is 2008, and I'm living in Michigan, and I'm serving as a volunteer at a church there, about twice the size of Journey's Crossing. It was a big church. And I was serving with 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. So we had a room full of about 60 of these guys. So imagine 60 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders in a room. Yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot going on there. It wasn't just me alone. Brooke, my wife, was with me, and my buddy Tim and his wife Joanne were there as well. On this particular day, 12 and a half years ago, I was leading a lesson on temptation. And so we sang with kids, and I had this incredible PowerPoint. I think I still have it on a hard drive somewhere, where I laid out a whole bunch of stuff on temptation. And then it came time for small groups, and kind of true to what we did in the Midwest, we separated the boys and girls out, which is kind of weird, but it's just kind of what we did. So me and Tim had 25 to 30 3rd, 4th, 5th grade boys, and Brooke and Joanne grabbed the girls off in another room. And I'm leading the kids through a discussion on temptation, and the curriculum has some pretty standard children's ministry examples of temptation. Have you ever been tempted to swipe a candy bar from a store? Have you ever been tempted to look at a buddy's paper on a test, cheat on a test? You ever been tempted to maybe make fun of someone behind their back? And then, I don't know why I said it. I think it's God's spirit was just kind of nudging me. I said, hey, have you ever been tempted to look at pictures online that you know you're not supposed to look at? Pornography, right? 3rd, 4th, 5th grade boys, 25, 30 of them in the room. Every face did this. I was shocked and not prepared for that. I wasn't even prepared to ask the question in the first place. I remember me and my buddy Tim locked eyes because all these kids' eyes have hit the floor. We are the only eyes that are up at that point. And our jaws were just dropped. We're like, what do we do with this? Now, what our strategy that we decided on the spot and without words is run away from this conversation. We just went, yeah, temptation. And we just went on. We probably missed an opportunity to invest in the lives of these kids that day, but it was just the best that we had. We were totally unprepared for this. But I do remember that we talked afterwards, and we said, man, this room full of kids we have, they're the good church kids. I mean, this was a room full of kids who were there almost every Sunday. They were there for our Sunday night children's ministry. They were there on Wednesday night children's ministry. They came from good homes. These were good kids. 25 to 30 good church kids who had all struggled being tempted with pornography at their age. It was amazing. We just said, man, these kids need better, and they need more from us. Now, one of the reasons that we felt that was that we knew the research. The research out there, that the experts, whoever they are out there, suggest that there is kind of an optimal window for humans to find Jesus and commit to follow him. And it runs from about 4 years of age to 13 years of age. And they say after 13, there's something that starts to change in us. Our hearts start to get harder. Our minds start to get more closed. And it's far less likely that we'll find Jesus after age 13. And when we're talking about 3rd, 4th, 5th grade boys, the window is rapidly starting to close for them. And so we just knew that these kids needed better and they needed more. And it was one of the reasons that the importance of children's ministry really got solidified in my heart, in my mind. Now, what do we all do with that? Like, as I said, this isn't a pitch to say everyone needs to join children's ministry. Far from it. And especially in light of this kind of distance COVID-19 world where we're not even meeting together physically in the same building on a Sunday morning, how can we help kids find and follow Jesus? How can we give them better? And how can we give them more? Well, I want to suggest that there's 3 things that every single person watching this video can do. Here they are. Number 1, pray. We can all pray. We can all talk to God. In the letter to the Philippians, in chapter 4, Paul writes, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He's done. The God who made the entire universe and who made us really wants us to talk to Him and tell Him what is on our hearts. And I think one of the things He really wants us to talk to Him about is the kids in our sphere of influence, our own kids, our nieces, nephews, grandkids, whoever they are. He wants us to talk to Him about them. So that's one thing that we can all do. Number 1, we can pray for the kids in our sphere of influence. Well, the second thing we can do is help them to get involved. If we flip over to the letter to the Hebrews, the author of that letter writes this: let us not neglect our meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another. And the writer of that letter said, hey, 2,000 years ago, this was already a problem. People kind of crowded church, the gathering together of believers, out of their lives. We want to help our kids to get involved. Now, if we're meeting on Sundays, that means helping them to be here every Sunday that they possibly can be here. But while we're not here, there's plenty to get involved with. There's plenty of content that our kids' church team is putting out on Sundays and all throughout the week that your kids can be watching, that your nieces and nephews, your grandkids can be watching. Actually, there's almost an optimal time right now where there's not a whole lot competing for the attention of your kids. There's no soccer camp. There's no dance recital. None of these things that kind of pull and tug at some of our time are there right now. We can all help our kids get more involved with Jesus. So pray, help them get involved. Third one, take action. And I'm looking back now in the Old Testament in a book called Deuteronomy. And in this book, Moses is the leader of Israel, and he's talking to the Israelites. And in chapter 6, he says, repeat these commands that I'm giving you again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home and when you're on the road, when you're going to bed, and when you're getting up. In other words, make it a part of the regular rhythm of your life to talk about the things of God with kids. And not just your kids, he addresses to the whole nation of Israel. So whatever kids are in your sphere of influence, make it a regular routine to talk to them about the things of God. I think a good rule of thumb is to try to do that once each day. Try to find one opportunity, at least one opportunity, to talk to your kids about something. If you're outside, you can talk about creation and what God created. If you're having to discipline them, you can talk to them about forgiveness and the forgiveness that we can have in Jesus. You can share what you've been reading in the Bible. You can help your kids develop their own reading habit. You can read what we learned in our kids' church experience or our preschool experience with them. You can have a conversation at dinner about things that have happened in their day and where you see God in those things. There are so many ways to naturally bring God up into our everyday lives. And my encouragement is when you wake up in the morning, pray and say, God, would you show me one way today that I can share something about you with the kids who are in my sphere of influence, whether that's the kids in my home or the kids in my extended family or the neighbors that I live near. I really hope that this encourages you, that we can remain engaged with our kids even in a time when we're distant. And I hope it gives you kind of a challenge and some marching orders to do something with kids, to help share Jesus with them. Our kids live right now in this window of opportunity before they hit age 13. And it's so important that we help them on their journey to find Jesus and follow him for a lifetime while they're young. Hope this explains a little bit of what makes me tick too. Can't wait to see you guys again. Bye-bye.